Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 107 of Dial the Gates. My name is David Reed. I'm very privileged to be joined in this episode by actor Nicole de Boer. She played Dr. Alison Porter in one of my favorite episodes of Stargate Atlantis, Whispers, a very memorable show. Before we bring her in, I would ask that if you are a fan of Stargate, and you want to see more content like this on YouTube, it would mean a lot if you click the like button. It makes a difference with YouTube's integrated algorithm and will definitely help the show continue to grow its audience. In just barely a year, we're almost hitting 20,000 subscribers. I would never have imagined that, so thank you so much. Please also consider sharing this video with a Stargate friend. And if you want to get notified about future episodes, click that subscribe icon. And giving the bell icon a click will notify you the moment a new video drops, and you'll get my notifications of any last-minute guest changes. And clips from this live stream will be released over the course of the next several weeks on both the Dial the Gate and GateWorld.net YouTube channels. This is a live show, which means that if you are seeing this as live on YouTube on Saturday afternoon, or morning or evening, depending on where you are from, that will give you the ability to log in and ask Nicole or myself a question. Nicole and I will talk for a little bit, then I will turn the floor over to the moderators. They'll be accumulating these questions. I will ask some of them to her, and any about the show or anything relating to what I'm doing with the series will be asked after the guest exits. So without further ado, let me go ahead and bring in the person of the hour, Nicole de Boer. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, David. Thank you so much for having me.
Good to see you again. How are things going?
Things are good. Listen, I cannot complain. I mean, it's been such a crazy past 2 years. And,
what are you talking about? It's been perfectly normal for me. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, this is normal.
Right.
This is like totally normal now. So,
How is it looking back on these performances, everything from Cube forward of the stuff that you have done over the years? Does it tend to be the sci-fi stuff that sticks in people's craws when they meet you or when they come across you and say, oh yeah, that thing? Or is it not so much? Because you've done a lot of science fiction, a lot of good science fiction.
Thank you. I think I have too. And I got to tell you, I am super proud of that stuff. I mean, I really am. And so, yeah, definitely. I think that's mostly what people recognize me from. I mean, it's going to be Star Trek, Stargate, the Dead Zone, sometimes more in the United States, the Dead Zone, and then Kids in the Hall. And those are like the main things. And that's great by me. Totally great by me.
What point did you realize that this is what you wanted to do for your life, in your life, was to act? How old were you? What was set us up on this adventure that you fell into?
I fell into it as a child, as a kid. And, I was actually at my mom's recently, and she has all this stuff of mine in the basement. And I was going through it, and I found like my old grades and stuff. And I know it was funny to notice how they got worse as I got into high school. Because I was actually acting and not going to school and terrible. I was a good student, but I just, wasn't around. But anyway, I look back and I found this 3rd grade project, and it was called My Life Project, which is hilarious because you're in 3rd grade and you're talking about your entire life. But at the very end of it, it said, what do you want to do in the future? And I said, I would like to move to California and become an actress. And I thought, I don't remember writing that. I don't remember thinking that in 3rd grade at all. So I was like, okay, check. I did that. That's great. But it was more when I got into, it's all over online. I played Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz and and then I joined this community theater group with all adults, and they needed someone to play the part of the bad seed in their production of The Bad Seed. So child murderess. So I played that part. And then
gotta start somewhere.
Yeah. And then it was really my grandmother. I had a single mom, And we were very close with my Scottish grandparents. We always lived right next to them, and I would go there before school and after school. And so my grandmother took me and got me an agent, and I got started in the biz. But it didn't really get going until I was 17, and I landed my first series regular role on a CBC show called 9B.
Anything that you could have told yourself now, then, you know what? This will cause you some pain. Try to avoid that. That person, they are not worth that in this industry. Professionally, I mean, not just like general life experience that applies.
Yeah. Just, just to have, because we all, you have moments of great confidence, and then other times it's just, you're terrified of stuff. Mostly just to go for it, at times where I might have chickened out a little bit or felt a little fearful. But I have to say, David, other than that, I've been very, very fortunate in all my time of all the people I've worked with. It's always been a great experience. I've had one tiny time with one person that was not great. But really, other than that, I've been really very blessed, and it's been wonderful. And it's sad to find out as I got older how blessed I was and how lucky I was. And that really bummed me out to find that out. But I really had wonderful experiences with everyone I worked with, pretty much.
Or are you sad? Do you mean that you didn't feel grateful enough, or?
I was sad to find out as I got older, because like I say, I started young, when women started to talk about experience, when I started to hear about things that were going on. That's when I felt, upset that was, kind of almost the norm, and to realize like, wow, how did I get by without, I not, to miss that kind of thing. And I did. And it's sad that I should be so grateful that should be, not as normal. You know what I mean?
Well, you can certainly speak to the the behind the scenes elements to it, but certainly when you look at, and I've seen a fair bit of your work, when you look at the caliber of people that you were paired with, and
that doesn't matter, right? As we found out.
Right.
I mean, but yes, I've been so blessed to work with amazing people that I could learn from, that did show how things are done, that did hold a tone for how we're going to do things, in a standard that was high. And then that's how I learned. And so that was great.
Who has helped you learn the most over the years? Has helped you grow as a person and as a professional?
As a professional, it's different. It's different people. It's women, usually, other actor friends, female friends of mine. Just different, advice when you're sitting together with a glass of wine, talking about the industry and roles. And just over the years, it's mostly been my female actor friends, really. We all support each other,
What role would you say, Nicole, helped you grow in ways that you didn't expect, or pushed you harder than you expected it to, when looking back on the work and saying, wow, that really influenced me as a human being, that really influenced me as a person, that gave me, that reinforced my character in ways that I didn't necessarily expect, not just character as the persona, but character as you as a human being?
I don't know if there's any one particular, being on Star Trek and playing Ezri Dax was just huge. It absolutely changed my life, in many ways. And I did have to push for different things within that season that I was on. It was just one season, but
and the final season of a landmark show.
Yes, exactly.
Your one voice. That had to have been tricky.
Exactly. There was a lot of elements to that. It was coming in and replacing someone, and and the nerves that go along with that, and just wanting to do such a great job. It was the biggest thing I'd, gotten at that point. And then there were certain episodes where I really had to push myself to, really dig deep with the character, and just the size of the show and the very, very long hours. I think we've made other documentaries now talking about the extreme long hours on that show. So, but the people were great. There was some inter-politics dramas. I was coming in at the very end of a long time that those actors had been together. So they had a lot of stuff that had gone on in that time. And I was coming in at the end of it. And so there was a lot of growth there for me, and wonderful, really wonderful. Just being pushed that little bit, having to reach that little bit all the time, and learn so much about on set, how to manage myself as an actor, as my business, interpersonal, all of it.
A brand, everything.
Yeah.
Jerry Ryan had said, I don't know if it was Brannon who warned her before or one of her peers, that, you know what, you're going to get aboard this moving train. You better start jogging beside it, because it's not slowing down. And it is, once you're aboard, it is what it is. And I would imagine, that would be the stressful thing for me, would be knowing when to speak my mind and when to speak up on something and when not to, because so much of the rhythm of the show is completely set in place. And you kind of just have to, in certain parts of it, find where you fit in, and also be brave and willing to speak your mind at certain points too. I don't know if I could do it.
Definitely. I think the main thing that really that helped me with that is I just felt so right about playing that role. Like as soon as I read the sides for the audition, I just knew that was my part. So feeling that good, because I haven't always felt that good in stuff that I've done. You go and you do it and you're like, oh, it was good, it was okay. But some you just feel more, perfect for. So it would have been scary to go into that situation if I didn't feel so sure about playing Ezra Dax, so that really helped a lot.
As a fan of DS9, I have it. Feel free to say, I'd rather not go into this.
We're here to talk about Stargate.
I know. Before I get to the meat and potatoes of Stargate, did past, present, or after, did Terry ever give you her blessing on the performance as well? Or was it just, this is your take, this is your character, now you do your thing, I did my thing?
Yeah, she didn't know, because we didn't talk to each other beforehand at all. I mean,
but
I was from Canada.
Right, that's
she
true.
was already on Becker. It was such a fast process. I was brought in, I got my uniform, I was on set.
Yeah.
And I knew Terry was nearby.
She was practically next door.
Yeah, so I was like, I really want to see her, but we didn't actually get to see each other because of both of our crazy schedules until we did a convention in Pasadena, right as we both finished the season filming. I will say that it's all good. I think for Terry, she was very, very hurt.
Yeah.
And not by me, by producers and stuff. And she has since spoken on that and made very clear. And I just felt so bad, about that. So she wasn't running to grab me and hug me or anything,
right.
But it wasn't about me personally,
right.
And then later, her and I got to go to Australia together to do a convention down there, and we were hanging out, and it was like we were sisters, and it was all great, So
I cannot recommend enough. What We Left Behind is it was a crowdfunded documentary that performed extremely well. Only I think to be beaten by To the Journey, the Voyager one that's coming out now, and. All of what we're talking about is discussed in this, and it's definitely worth everyone's time if you're a fan of DS9 to check it out.
Yeah.
Stargate Atlantis.
Yes. Let's talk about that.
Another joining in on the final season.
Yep.
Ultimately, what was the final season? Had it not been, I am convinced that you guys you gals would have been brought back for another one because the episode was so much fun and so cohesive and just worked. It's an episode called Whispers, written by Joseph Malazzi and Paul Moley. I watched it again last night before joining you for this, and it is one of my favorite hours of Atlantis. Tell us about getting this role and working with this cast.
Yeah, for sure. It was so great. When I got the audition, I was super excited because I was like, Stargate, it's awesome. It's such a cool show. Of course, I know people on it. I knew David Hewlett, and we worked together on Cube and stuff before.
And not one scene shared with him in this one.
I know. It was too bad. But I did get to meet Paul McGillion, and he was pretty fun and great too. So, but yes, I would love to work with David Hewlett again. Oh my God. So yeah, I was really excited. And the first time I came in, went to MGM in LA to audition, and they asked me to read the role of Teldy first. And then I can't remember now, because it is a little bit of a long time ago. If I, did the audition and went home, and then they asked me back, or maybe they had me read both parts. And I remember doing Teldy first. I can't quite remember that, David, but I do remember that I read for Teldy first. And then I read for Dr. Porter after. And that was a good sign, because then I thought, okay, that's good, because I'm probably going to get Dr. Porter if they're asking me to.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's try this one.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I thought, you know what? I think this part's better for me anyway. When I read it, I was like, yeah, this makes more sense. So, got the part, and got to go up to Vancouver, and which is always a treat. I love filming in Vancouver. So, and then they said, we want to have you guys come in early too, because you're going to need to, use these P90s. And I was like, what's a P90?
Submachine gun.
And then I found out, and I was like, whoa, really? What? Okay. So we all had to come up. Now, I was a new mom at the time, pretty new mom. My daughter, Summer, was like 15 months at the time. So I had to, figure it out and arrange, if I'm going to have a nanny or what. But my parents, who are always excited, to be with their granddaughter and to come to Vancouver, in the past I would have them come, and I would be put up at the, the Sutton Hotel.
Yes.
And my parents would fly out, and I would take the pull-out couch, and I would give them my room and make it a little trip, and I'd go work on set all day. So they were like, yay, can we do that again? I said, sure, you're going to be babysitting. So I'm coming in, and I've got to do these, P90 rehearsals. I meet the gals. Of course, Christina Cox and I came up together. We knew each other. We were both young actresses in Toronto, so we go way back. But we'd never actually worked together. So this is our first time working together. And the other problem is I got a terrible sinus infection.
Oh,
I got there. Like one of those where your head is just so bad. And I've since learned to give up dairy. But for many years, I had constantly had these sinus infections. So get up to Vancouver and I get a sinus infection. And it was super painful, and they had to get the doctor to get me antibiotics and stuff. So we went in to do these, to learn how to handle these guns, these semi-automatic rifles.
It's a semi-automatic weapon, yeah.
Weapon, yes.
Yeah.
And I was into it, super cool. I mean, nervous, but into it. I was a bit miserable with my face at the time. But
absolutely. It's one of the worst things you can have.
It is, and it was the only thing that made the whole thing a bit of a bummer. But once the antibiotics kicked in, it was great. And met Janina, who was really a hoot right away. I was like, wow, this young woman's a hoot. She's going places too. I could tell right away. And Leela, who was so lovely and great. So we all get in there. But Christina Cox was already like a pro. She had like used guns and so many, and these types of weapons, and was such a pro. So Christina's just like, yeah, give me this thing. And she's just like amazing. We're all looking at her and we're like, oh man, we gotta figure
up
this
our
out.
game.
Totally, we gotta up our game with this one. So yeah, it was great. And we spent like, I don't know, better part of a day, learning how to use them. And then I felt pretty good about it. I was like, okay, yeah, this is pretty cool.
The firearms training is always a tricky balance, because
Yeah.
that's the thing with Stargate. It was very much part of that show being a paramilitary series.
Yes,
and they took it so seriously. Like if you respect this weapon, and you're safe with it, they teach you what to do.
100%. And of course, that's very much right now what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
With everything.
Exactly.
The set of rust and stuff. And it really did give me pause and make me think about all the times that I've had to handle a weapon in my life.
Correct. You use your own personal experience to say, okay, how could this have happened based on what I know to be standard, or what I have been trained to do.
I'm no big weapon, but I have, from prom night 4, I had to have a handgun, a pistol, and fire it. And I remember every single time
checking it.
Yes. I mean, I didn't even need to check it, because the person, the armor or whoever would come, or props person or whoever it was, it would yell, everyone stop and look, and here's the gun, and here's the barrel, and here it's empty. And I'm, I mean, very, very clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be standing there looking at it going, okay, yes. Okay, great. Yes, thank you. We all saw that. Great. Like.
Yeah, what happened? Yeah,
that's
what it's still a developing story, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So anyway, but very safely, very well handled on Stargate, and that was really fun. And then we get into, the filming and the fog and the scare.
Oh my gosh.
And I gotta say, a funny thing about me is I don't really like to watch horror movies or horror, but I like to be in them.
Really?
Yeah, I like making them. But I'm not someone who likes scary movies, really. I get way too scared. I mean, watching Stranger Things with my daughter was like, that was tough. I mean, that was scary. Come on. Like, those things were scary in the beginning. So that kind of reminds me of Whispers was first, that sort of same kind of thing. When we were watching Stranger Things, I said to my daughter, I was like, ooh, this reminds me of doing Whispers. Like, this fog, and it was so scary, and the creatures, and the creatures were great. Those actors did such a wonderful job.
They can barely see. Little slits, I'm sure.
No, they've got this goop they can barely see. They're in all this fog. Their physical stuff was so good, but then it was so cute because off set outside, my parents and my daughter came to visit. And she wasn't scared of them.
Really?
Because, they're talking in a nice voice.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Hi, honey, how are you? And
don't mind me. I'm just working with your mom.
I know. And I remember thinking, I wish I got a photo of this.
Aww.
I was going to text my mom this morning and say, do we have any photos? And then I also remember Jason Momoa coming by. So I was like, damn it. I wish I got a photo of my daughter with the creatures and Jason.
It's interesting you say that you don't much like to watch horror, but you didn't mind being it. Did you like haunted houses growing up?
No. I mean,
okay.
My mom used to play this game with me because we had an apartment where, the kitchen, the gas to hold my dog, which was a Lhasa Apso.
My gosh.
She would hold him and we'd get him all revved up, and then I would run as a little kid, and I would run around. He would chase me, and I would be terrified of my little fluffy dog chasing me around the house.
There's a circuit that switches on in your head.
It does.
And it's
right.
the part of us that used to be prey.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And but I kind of liked it too, but I don't like to. but I don't like to watch it. But it's fun to be in it because you're seeing how it's all made,
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
a part of
and
the magic.
you're a part of the magic. And I think that's pretty fun. And same when I did prom night 4, that was pretty fun too. So I haven't done a ton of horror, but I do. Yeah, it is fun to be part of. I gotta say.
Did the fog trigger your sinuses at all? Make it any worse?
Oh yeah, I was a hot mess at that,
Ah,
and but I had the antibiotics going.
okay. It does
That's
make a difference.
and you know what else helped was Joe Malazzi's amazing chocolates. He had
Did you have a chocolate party or
oh,
did he bring some to the
oh my
set?
god! I think he had chocolate party. Oh no, you know what? He might have had a chocolate party, but I just couldn't go
Oh,
between
okay.
my little girl and my sinuses. But I remember the door knocking in my hotel room, and it was Janina and Christina, and they were like, "Hey, and we brought you some chocolate." I do
Ah,
remember that. So I think they went over to Joe's house.
okay. He had an annual chocolate party for years.
Yeah, I
This is
know.
what
I
he
remember
did.
him saying that. So,
Yeah.
but we had some on set, and it was awesome. I think there's a couple of photos floating around out there with me biting.
How was Paul? Did you know Paul? You
Oh
didn't
my
know Paul
God,
before this?
I didn't.
You did
No,
not.
no, no. I mean, Paul McGillion. He's a hoot. He's great. And of course, I loved it because I grew up with my Scottish grandparents. So
Oh.
I have a bit of a soft spot there for the Scottish accent, and we had such a good time, Paul and I. And yeah, I really liked those two characters together, Dr. Porter and Carson. I thought they were adorable. I looked at the show recently, so I could do this. I looked at it the other night, and I was like, wow, majority of this is just Paul and I flirting.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Really?
adorable. Dusty sure doesn't think so, but
Yeah,
I'm gonna go sweep the neighborhood again.
yeah, exactly.
So-
Yeah, really fun. And then also with the other Joe, I mean, he's great too. It was just it was a fun experience, and Will Waring did such a great job of directing. And
yes.
do you remember those, like the tent that we had so that you could keep all the smoke in it? And
That stuff isn't cheap, You want to
it's
preserve it
not,
as much as
I
possible.
mean, they used just a ton of smoke. The fog, it was thick as soup, it was so thick.
The thing that I love about that particular set, it was they called it the Village set.
Right, that's
They had
right.
introduced it, I believe, in season 2 of Atlantis and season 9 of SG1. It was an enormous soundstage. It was one of the bigger
Yeah,
ones that Bridge had. They could
huge.
convert it into almost anything. And especially with the fog, when I was rewatching the episode, you could see how they reconfigured it so you could tell with the landmarks there kind of where you were in the village in the episode.
Right,
And the stuff that it's just a huge jigsaw puzzle when it all comes together on screen. The location of the well, it's the center of town. You kind of
right.
get your orientation through this soup. It's just brilliant stuff.
Really brilliant. I mean, the special effects. I mean, they did such a fantastic set. I mean, everyone, just an incredible job. I was so impressed.
When you look back at these long-standing franchises that you've been a part of, two of the biggest ones in all of television, right there, that we've just been talking about.
Yeah.
What is it? Do you see any in terms of like commonalities of why they just keep on stretching off into the distance? And like Star Trek has had 5 or 6 7 series since DS9, and
Yeah.
Stargate, there's murmurs that it's going to be booting up once again. We're at 360 some odd episodes, and we'll be getting started hopefully in the next couple of years with whatever MGM and Amazon are cooking up. What is it that transcends all this medium and just makes it so evergreen in your estimation? Is it the
Well,
stories? Is it the characters?
yeah. It's both. It's all of that. It's this guiding light for us. If you're not whether you are religious or not, but certainly if you're not, which a lot of people, you're science minded, whatever that is, it is something that remains like looking at the human condition and gives you hope and gives you a set of morals and guidance. And I mean, that's what I feel it is really, and definitely the hope for humankind. Yes, we're not perfect, and reflecting on history, because that's the main thing, right? And it's always unbelievable. It's like, haven't we learned from history, and haven't we learned how to? And I think these shows are constantly, a reminder, written with these beautiful stories, to remember our humanity and to have hope for us, and to know that we're not perfect, but to keep striving for our best selves. And I think that's why people turn to it again and again and again. And, because things get blown up and it looks great.
It looks great. No, I think you're right. I think the best of this stuff holds a mirror to who we are and makes us remind ourselves, okay, yeah, we're not as big as we think.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And it gives a family to so many people too. And then of course you have all the various conventions for all the different shows.
Right.
And that's family there too. And yeah, I mean, there's no doubt in this crazy time that we're going through. And, there's been a lot of crazy times throughout history. It's just that we have social media too, and news, and it's, it's in your news feed constantly from the moment you open your eyes to the moment you close them. So we've gone through tough times before, but we need something like this to keep us together. And I think these shows really provide that.
I think that's a great point. It's the glue that keeps us together.
Yeah.
So I can't I mean, certainly in my household, it's something that, my father and I are way too similar for our own good, but we can set our differences aside and watch science fiction and come together. I'll just leave it at that.
So. That's wonderful then. That's good to hear.
Tracy wanted to know, is there a role, Nicole, that you would love to take on that you haven't yet had the opportunity, or perhaps a particular genre?
Well, I can tell you right now that I've done different genres, and honestly, I'm really comfortable in sci-fi.
Yeah.
I enjoy that world. I always have. I mean, I remember when I started doing it, I just sort of fell into it. In Toronto, there was just a lot of sci-fi being shot there, and then Vancouver, and I just started doing it. And I really liked it because it wasn't just playing some guy's girlfriend, They were stronger roles. They were more interesting. I actually love wearing the uniform because I hate going to wardrobe fittings constantly when I'm on a show. And, it's just adding more time to your day. Nothing against wardrobe. They're amazing and it's fun to dress up and stuff. But I'm a kind of gal, I'm like a jeans and t-shirts kind of gal. And it's nice to dress up. But I love just having the same thing to wear every day and not having to constantly figure out what you're going to wear and go to wardrobe fittings. And seriously, and I just love being in space, and I feel good there. I feel comfortable there. I like sort of military stuff too. I not like action. I just mean the the
uniformity.
Yes, and this sort of and all of that. I just love it. I just feel comfortable there.
If only they would have added pockets on those Federation spacesuits.
Yeah. True. But I think now especially that I'm old, I'm older now, I think I would like to play a role with a little more, maturity, because I've always been, cute and younger and all that kind of stuff. Or, Esri was sort of confused, but getting there. I would like to play something, a little more together, a little with a little more power.
I loved one of your performances that had such an edge by the end of it. I don't know if Brad Wright wrote it or not. Your episode of The Outer Limits with Robert Patrick, and the makeup.
Good.
Layers.
It's still one of my favorite things I've ever done.
It's a great story, and it's one of those where it's like you get to the end of it, it's like, what? oh no, I think there was a second part even later on, but you have
They
a
did do
physical
a sequel.
transformation
Yeah.
and it's just crazy.
That was such a good, I mean, that script was amazing by Brad, and I think maybe someone else, but it was Brad, right.
Yes.
And Brad Turner directed it, and then I got to work with Robert Patrick, just a two-hander, two actors in this cell, and the story was so good. And then I had to do prosthetics, my first time doing like, a lot of prosthetics. And yeah, that was just such a cool one.
Quality of Mercy, I believe, is the
Quality of
episode's
Mercy,
name.
Outer Limits.
If you are listening out there, if you've not seen this, the Outer Limits is one of those great sci-fi shows from the 90s. But you guys, you chew that up. It's another one of those examples of Brad just putting two people in a scene, and it just takes care of itself. Just great drama. Let me look here. Goran Ananowski, have you had another audition or offer for a Stargate or Star Trek role before or after being on one of these shows? And how willing would you be to come back?
Before or after? No, I think that was it. I did.
Okay.
But then Joe Malazzi went on to do Dark Matter.
Dark Matter.
And I auditioned for that. And, I got in the mix there, but it just ultimately wasn't right. I was just a little older, for whatever reason, that wasn't right. But of course, we were really wanting to work together again, but that didn't work out. I don't think so since that. But yeah, I would absolutely love it. I would love to be part in some way of a new Stargate of some kind, of something like that. Yeah.
Wakey 2 wanted to know, were you to come back as Dr. Porter in a future Stargate, what would you like to see the character go next? If Brad does another one, it's entirely possible that a lot of these past players will be invited back at some point.
Well, that would be fantastic.
Right?
Yeah, that would be great to play Alison Porter now. I mean, it's wide open, We didn't see her do a whole. It's wide open for that entire team, well, except for Leela. It really is.
Well, it's sci-fi, so anything's possible.
That's true. Anything is possible. It's wide open, just all kinds of adventures. Just get her in there. I'd love to see her, of course, with Carson again too.
Absolutely.
And, or with giving him a hard time at least. Yeah, just in the mix, just doing some fun adventures. That would be great.
Elizabeth Lee, what personal touches do you get to add to your characters and your performances, especially with such a unique cast and crew? Given Stargate as an example, where does the dialogue and the stage direction end and your performance begin? And does a lot of that just happen when you arrive on set that day and you get a feeling for Paul and some of the others?
Yeah, and that's when you have your table read. First of all, you always, get all the actors together and you read through the entire script, and that's your first place to hear it out loud with everyone else. And in that, you're kind of you're playing with what you've been thinking of as you've been doing your own work at home with the script and what you want to do. And then when you hear it and you meet other actors, maybe you've worked with some before, maybe they're new. You just start to feel it and hear it and get a feeling for it. And then, yeah, you get on the set. I mean, a lot of times, especially with stuff like this, the scripts they're so good and they've already gone through rewrites. So what we're getting, it's pretty much ready to go. And there's not much, tweaking needed. Although that can happen, if you decided something's funky a little bit, work on it with the director, the writers. But yeah, and then that's when you start to play, as an actor, and that's where you find little moments. And hopefully if you're, you kind of know what you're doing as an actor, you learn to do these things and find those things, pretty quickly. And that all just comes from being really in the moment and listening and being there, and then all that stuff sort of flows. And then when you're on a series, what will happen is the dailies go back and the writers and producers see them direct, and then they're picking up on what you're doing, or they're picking up on, oh, look at how Nicole and Paul, worked in that scene together. Oh, we like that. Let's do some more scenes with them, because we're kind of feeling something there. So then, another episode or two later, you'll get another scene with them, and it becomes, a give and take between the two.
It's a back and forth.
Back and forth, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what's so delicious about it all.
Would there be circumstances where in the series that you were a part of, you were really feeling something and you just pray that, please God, that they pick up on this? Or would you have an opportunity to go up there to the office and say, hey, this really worked for me. Having more of this wouldn't be bad in my opinion. Where's that line there where, you're hoping that they intuit something that you see on screen versus you get to go up there and say, I loved this. If there's any chance we can do more of this, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. There's times where you just say, depends on what show you're on. If the director directs a lot, also a producer, then right there when you're on set, you're like,
I see.
I like this. Let's do more of this. Or I think, him and I together, or her and I together, this stuff's good. This is gold. We need to do more scenes like that. And you all just kind of stand around and go, yeah, this works, or please don't make me do that ever again. Because as you can see, it wasn't my best. I'm not like, I do get a little, I like doing a little bit of action, but I remember in Star Trek where they had me like fighting some Breen or something. It was this large man coming at me, and I just felt ridiculous. And Stunts was like, okay, choreographing, you're going to go this and this, and then you're going to push him. I was like, I'm going to what? I'm going to push him. Are you serious? No.
It's sci-fi.
He's going to send me flying. And so days like that just make me go, oh, can we do less of that for me? Or, more special effects.
Just give me a phaser. I'll take him down.
Or give me someone shorter. Give me someone shorter to work with.
There is a certain amount of suspension of disbelief that you just have to kind of deal with.
It's true. And then that's what I remember, and I go, listen, Nick, it's all going to be good. And people are suspending their belief because they want you to be kicking ass. And then I go, okay, all right, it's true. All right, let's kick some ass.
Adam Mortimer, what was your favorite episode on DS9?
Oh, my favorite? It's hard to say. I mean, for myself, I really like, the names are like escaping me, where Esri had to bring out the murderer in her to solve a case.
Is that the one where you had the gun that could go through walls?
Yes, that was cool too. That gun. Never saw that gun again.
Field of Fire.
Field of Fire. Thank you. But then other than that, I really like just the group ones where we all really got to have fun together. Because like I say, I was coming in at the end and they all seemed a little tired. They've been there for many years, wearing hours of prosthetics, getting in and out of them all day. And they were all lovely. But I was like sort of the youngest one in the group outside of Aaron and Sirach,
Right.
And so I loved when we had a chance to do like bada bing, bada bang. Like that was so fun. Stuff with Vic. I mean, I just adored James Darren. He is such a charming man. And when he looked at me and was like, you remind me a little bit of Sandra Dee. And I was like, oh my God. Just like, oh. So yeah, that was so fun.
I loved Take Me Out to the Holosuite.
Oh, so great. Take Me Out to the Holosuite was so fun. But they were all melting out there in there. That was tough because we were at Loyola Marymount and it was like 110 50 degrees, and they had to have these special huts so that they could stand in them and Michael Dorn wouldn't melt.
Right, in his face.
Yeah. But yeah, it was so fun doing those ones.
I would imagine, I want to wrap this up on like just the overall like impression of looking back on all of this work. You have a kid. I imagine the work that you did, it must bring you a great deal of satisfaction to know that you can turn to your child and say, this is stuff that your mom was in. This is stuff maybe you don't share. Maybe you guys don't watch television, but at the very least you could say, this is high quality, ethically grounded, morally grounded content that I'm proud that I was a part of. And, it's not something that I would at all be embarrassed for you to watch, because there's all kinds of programming out there. You gotta bring home the bacon. You gotta make it work. And the stuff that you did was excellent.
Well, David, thank you. That's exactly how I feel about it. That's exactly how I feel. And, I'm so proud. I mean, you just said it perfectly. That is how I feel. Although, I have a teenager, and then she's like, oh, whatever. She doesn't really.
Okay, so you're at the teenage phase already. Okay.
So, no, she gets it, and she's awesome. But, I'm just her mom. You know what I mean? But she does get it. But yes, I feel so proud that this is something that I have that can't be taken away from me, that this is something I did, and it's such a wonderful thing to be part of it. I am so proud of it. Yeah.
Well,
exactly how I feel.
I am very optimistic about another Stargate show, and I would love to see you be part of it, either as Porter or in another form. And only time's going to tell.
Oh, wow. That would be fantastic. And I would love that. Yeah. I hope you're right.
Nicole, thank you so much for joining us. It means a great deal to see you again and to know you're doing good.
And thanks for, this. I just checked out this channel. It's amazing. And you're so good at it, David. And
well, I appreciate it. And like I said before the show, I would very much like to get all the ladies together to do a commentary on this episode at some point. Perhaps even bring Paul in, but
that's a great idea.
So keep your ears open. I may be approaching you in the next few months to see if we can make something like that happen.
Okay, that sounds great.
Thank you, Nicole, so much. I'm going to go wrap it up on this end.
All right, thank you.
You take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Nicole de Boer, Whispers, Stargate Atlantis. I love her to pieces. She has been in so much great programming over the years, and she's just a rare talent. My name is David Reed. You're watching Dial the Gate, and we are brought to you every week for free, and we do appreciate you watching. But if you want to support the show further, consider buying yourself some of our themed swag. We're now offering t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, and hoodies for all ages, as well as cups and other accessories in a variety of sizes and colors through dialthegate.com/merch. You can click on a specific design, see what items are being offered. Checkout is fast and easy. Dialthegate.com/merch. And thanks so much for your support. And I just added, you can't see them here, but I just added some gold symbols and a list of what caused each of their deaths. So you get each of the gold system lords on their symbols on a t-shirt design, and underneath it says nuked or Jaffa revenge or impaled through the back of the chest. All the things that took out the different Goa'uld. So that's what we've got here for you. Just coming up in the next little bit, we're going to be bringing aboard J.C. Vaughn. Let me get my information up here. To apologize. Okay, we're going to be bringing aboard J.C. Vaughn and Mark Haynes. They are responsible for the Stargate Atlantis and Universe comics, and are going to be joining us in just a little bit over an hour. So that's what we have coming up next. I did have one question set aside for me. Two of them. Teresa MC, can you show on your Atlantis City model where things are located, like sleeping quarters or the labs? I'm going to have to bring in one of the people who designed this model to help me with that, because I have no idea where anything is in the city of Atlantis other than the main tower with the upper puddle jumper bay and the lower puddle jumper bay. But someone has written all that out, and I will endeavor to have them on. Claire Burr, I wonder if we can have a David Reed interview, say Gary Jones acting like David or interviewing him as if he were not a regular part of the show. Thank you for that. We had a WonderCon AMA about 8 or 9 months ago where Jenny Stiven, one of our regular contributors, came on and she interviewed me. That's kind of the best that we're going to have of that. But that's all I've got for you guys, and I appreciate you so much tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with other Star Trek and Stargate fans. Thanks so much to my producer, Linda Gategaber Fury, as well as to my moderators, Summer, Tracy, Keith, Jeremy, Reese, and Anthony. My tremendous thanks to Frederick Marcoux at Concepts Web, our web developer at Dial the Gate, and also thank you to Jeremy Heiner, our webmaster who keeps the site up to date. We will be back in about an hour to interview the folks responsible for the Stargate Atlantis and Universe Comics, Mark L. Haynes and J.C. Vaughn. My name is David Reed for Dial the Gate. I thank you so much for tuning in. See you back in about an hour. See you on the other side.